What's up, community? Welcome back. It's been a long time. Guess what? We're home. Daddy's here. It's gonna be okay. So I said last time that we probably weren't gonna take a long break again, and then we proceeded to immediately take a long break again. So most of you are probably wondering, Brady, why is your room a disaster? Listen, I have been troubled of late. I've spent probably the last 48 to 63 hours just thinking and trying to comprehend plurals in the English language. And let me tell you, it's a mind bender. Let's break this down. So, recently, there's absolutely nothing recent about this. I've just stumbled across it recently and have found it very interesting. Plurals in the English language have troubled children for their entire elementary lives, and are now still troubling me. But listen, I'm gonna talk to you guys exactly about why this is weird. Imagine a number line. We've all seen this, and if you're over the age of 10, you know that the number line doesn't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 0, and then there's a half, and then there's 1. It's not just, there's a lot of stuff in there. So I was thinking about an old number line recently. I'm thinking about where we say stuff in singular and where we say stuff in plurals. Greater than 0 or less than or equal to 1, it is singular. Pretty obvious. He's been there for a year, or you've done something for half a year. But if it's greater than 1, it doesn't matter how much greater than 1 it is. You don't have to fully be 2 to be plural. Like, everyone's like, yeah, you use a plural, you put an S at the end of the word whenever there's 2 or more. Wrong! It's whenever there's literally just more than 1. So like, he's been there for 1.5 years. Or there's like 1.5 gorillas outside. I don't know what you'd be doing with half a gorilla, but it'd be terrifying. Just imagine gorilla legs running around. Tell me in the comments what you think a gorilla without a top half would look like. That's such a horrifying thing. Anyway, now this is the one that confuses me the most. Because 0, right? None is plural. I haven't been there for any years. I have 0 gorillas outside threatening me. However, I have a bunch of snakes. I have 0 words written for my essay due at 11:59. It is currently 10 p.m. I have 0 of all this stuff. But it's plural with 0. That's weird. Listen, plurals are hard. Why is the rule inconsistent when something ends in a US? Like a cactus? What's the plural for cactus, children? It is cacti. Well, how about bus? What's the plural form of bus, children? Bi. No, it should be, grammatically. But if you say, hey, yeah, there's just this 2 bi driving down the street, you'd be like, what in the... For some reason, that one's buses or octopi. Is it? I think it's octopuses.
No, it's octopi.
No, it's definitely octopuses. Look this up.
The answer I found is octopuses.
It is.
Yeah, it's octopuses, not octopi. Personally, I think it should be octopi. Pegasi. That's not a thing. It's Pegasuses. Plural forms, especially in English, are so weird. There's a comedian, his name's Brian Regan. If you don't know who Brian Regan is, I highly recommend looking it up. I'll probably put a link into somewhere. But he had a one bit that was like, he was stupid in school, and he was talking about like the plural forms of nouns. What's the plural form for ox? And the smart kid goes, oxen. The farmer used his oxen. She goes, Brian? He goes, what? What's the plural form for box? He says, boxen. I ate 2 boxen of donuts. He says, Erwin, what's the plural form for goose? And Erwin goes, geese. I saw a flock of geese. And he goes, Brian, what's the plural form for moose? And he goes, moosin. I saw a flock of moosin in the woods, in. And he just keeps going on and just adding like en to every single plural word. But the problem is there's no consistent standard. He has no idea. By the way, Erwin, flock is not actually the right word for a group of geese. That would be, get this, a gaggle of geese. That's what it's called. There's a pack of wolves and a gaggle of geese. And it doesn't stop there with how plurals are hard. No, with animals, it gets crazy. I'm gonna go through these in definitely not alphabetical order because I'm not reading off a list. There's a seat of badgers, not S-E-A-T, but C-E-T-E, which I didn't even know was a word. A sleuth of bears. A sounder of boars. But get this, it's only a sounder of boars if it's 12 or more. Now, you ask, okay, what's the name for 11 or 11 to 2 boars? There's no name for it. Just, if there's 12 or more, it's a sounder. It's like, hey, Tim, come over here. Look at my sounder of boards. He goes, that's only 11, Dale. It's not a sounder. I want to know how that got started, too. Like, how did 2 dudes come up with this, like, hey, we don't have a name for a group of boars the same way we have a name of groups for other animals. Yeah, you know, you're right. We should call it a sounder of boars. Yeah, I'm all right with that, but It has to be 12 or more in order for it to be a sounder. Why? That makes absolutely no sense. You make a convincing point. You're right. A coalition of cheetahs, but men only. Or you could come across a business of ferrets. It's like either business, busyness, bezziness, fezziness, fenzying, or femying of ferrets. Those ferrets have like 6 ways that you could properly say a group of ferrets. An army of frogs, or you could, if you were on an African safari, come across a tower of giraffes. Or if you're just chilling in the ocean. One thing that you would probably not like to see unless you're Dory from Finding Nemo would be a fluther of jellyfish. That's not even a word! You just came up with the sound that you think they make when you said fluther. Hey, don't go swimming out there. There's a fluther of jellyfish. Okay. A rally of octopi.
Octopuses.
A rally of octopuses. You might come across a conspiracy of lemurs. If you come across a group of cobras, it's called a quiver of cobras. And if the thought of somebody loading up arrows of cobras does not scare the pants right off of you, then you're not an actual human being. Don't mistake your quiver of arrows for your quiver of cobras. It would not be a good day. But whoever made these groups of names loves one particular kind of animal, and that is birds. Every single one of these names for birds is awesome. Ravens and crows and other blackbirds, they don't want to be messed with, right? They just want to be left alone, doing their own ominous, creepy stuff, and just leave them be. Ravens, if you see a group of ravens flying by, you just saw an unkindness of ravens. If you see a group of crows fly by right next to them, watch out, you just saw a murder of crows. If you see some eagles fly by, which I think eagles are like pretty much solo animals, but if you do, or they're in a little nest or whatever, guess what they are? A convocation of eagles. It's so elegant. It's so like pristine. Like, oh hey, look at that convocation. A charm of finches. There's nothing really special about the finch, but you know what? If there's a group of them, you got a whole charm of finches. Now, if you see 2 hawks, particularly when you see 2 hawks spiraling in flight, it's called a boil of hawks. It's so hyper specific. Who just like sits there and is like, we already have a flight of hawks, a kettle of hawks, but if there's 2 of them spiraling in flight, let's call it a boil. And everyone just like signs off on it. Or if you see some larks, which is just like the most normal bird ever, you know what it is? It's an exultation of larks. Now parrots are annoying. They just talk all the time, which is why a group of parrots is called a pandemonium. Or you can find a pitying of turtle doves, which is really weird considering they're used in weddings. Congratulations to the new Mr. and Mrs. Jones! Release the pitying of turtle doves. So, old penguins, just chilling down in South Antarctica, like mumbling around, like dancing with their feet, singing the songs, or whatever they did in Happy Feet. That's how I know most of my information on penguins in Antarctica. Guess what they're called? A tuxedo of penguins. Now that one's sweet. Like, just a tuxedo of penguins, just chilling. But the single most awesome name for any group of animals comes with owls. If you see just a group of owls chilling, hanging around, turning their necks way too far, but apparently not going all the way around because that's an optical illusion or something, you have just witnessed a parliament of owls. That is the coolest name that you can give to any animal that's out there. A parliament of owls? That's sweet! So I did a little bit of digging, because, you know, I do research. I hate doing research, but I do it for you guys. I wonder if there's, like, one of these for, like, human beings. Like, just a group of humans. What would that be called? Turns out, a group of humans, there's no name for it. There's so many names for a group of humans that there really isn't one. It's really anticlimactic, actually. There's just some dudes chilling. That's the name for humans. There's no real life lesson with this one. Just plurals are hard, and I guess go watch Brian Regan, and if you see a quiver of cobras, just run. Just run the other way. If somebody's shooting cobras at you, if they've taken their quiver of arrows and their quiver of cobras and made disgustingly deadly cobra arrows, run faster. So instead, just like chill outside, I don't know, go hammock, read a book. My room might not be clean, but I still got my trusty reading list here. All these are pretty good, and like, go outside and hopefully you'll just get surrounded by a kaleidoscope of butterflies. Thanks for watching. Stay salty. Dude, there's a talk of capercaillie, which is a plural form for caterpillar. I have no idea.